She said, I just asked him to put sunscreen on my back. If you're jealous, go home. Then she laughed and flirted with him like I wasn't even there. I stayed quiet, booked a flight home that night, and left. Next morning, she was calling me in panic. All right, Reddit. This one's an absolute shit show. Grab your popcorn and watch how I taught this chick a hard lesson in respect. The thing about red flags is, they're only red flags if you're actually willing to pull your head out of your butt and see them. Otherwise, they're just quirks you convince yourself make the relationship interesting. And I convinced myself these were just quirks for way too long. 2 years. That's how long I played myself. I'm Bruno, 32 male. Her name's Brielle, and before you ask, yeah, she was hot. The kind of hot that makes you ignore logic. But here's what nobody tells you about dating someone who looks like they walked off an Instagram. You're not dating a person, you're dating a brand. And that brand requires constant marketing, endless promotion, and a full-time PR team made up of desperate dudes and enabling girlfriends. We met at my buddy Billy's barbecue. Billy's one of those guys who thinks he's a chef because he owns a $600 grill. His burgers are mid at best. Brielle showed up wearing this sundress that had every guy there adjusting their posture. She noticed me because I wasn't staring. I was just trying to find the drinks Billy hides in the back of his cooler. She came over, and we ended up talking for 3 hours. That version of Brielle? That was the trap. About 3 months in, I started noticing the pattern. We'd go out, and she'd transform. Volume up, laugh faker, and suddenly every interaction with a dude became a performance. Bartender? Flirted? Random guy asking for directions? Giggled. Waiter bringing the check? Full eye contact? Hair flip? The whole nine. And look, I'm not some possessive psycho. But there's talking to people, and then there's conducting auditions for your backup boyfriend, while your actual boyfriend sits there watching like an unpaid extra. The first time I brought it up, she hit me with the classic, "You're overthinking. I'm just friendly. It's called being social, Bruno. Maybe you should try it." So I gave her the benefit of the doubt. But then I started seeing the texts. Not by snooping. She'd leave her phone unlocked on my coffee table. I'd see notifications pop up. Her ex. Random dudes from the gym. DMs on Instagram that she'd laugh at and never show me. Every time I'd mention it, same script. You're insecure. It's not a good look. She had this way of flipping shit back on you that was almost impressive. You'd call out something disrespectful, and somehow, by the end of the conversation, you'd be apologizing for having feelings about it. Then came the living situation. She mentioned her lease was ending, said she needed time to find a new place, and asked if she could crash at mine for just a couple weeks. I have a 2-bedroom in a decent part of downtown. I lived comfortably, saved money, and did not stress about bills. My place was my sanctuary, was, past tense. The couple weeks turned into 2 months. Her stuff spread like a virus. Bathroom counter covered in her makeup. Closet half hers. Living room cluttered with her shoes and clothes. And you know what she contributed financially? Exactly $0 and 0 fugs. When I finally brought up the money thing, she looked at me like I just asked her to donate a kidney. I'm between jobs right now, Bruno. Are you seriously going to charge your girlfriend rent? That's so transactional. Then came the puppy dog eyes. The guilt trip. The implication that I was being cheap and unromantic for expecting a 30-year-old woman to contribute to the place she was living in. I'm 32, old enough to know better than to let someone freeload. But here we were. I dropped it. But I filed it away. See, here's what I was actually doing during those 2 years. I was running an experiment, testing to see if she'd ever step up, show gratitude, or even have basic respect. I was keeping notes in my head. My coworker Andrew, this older guy in his 50s who's been divorced twice, spotted it immediately. We were grabbing lunch one day, and I mentioned Brielle having her friends over at my place without asking first. Again, Andrew just looked at me over his sandwich and said, "Son, you know what you're doing, right? You're auditioning for the role of doormat. And from where I'm sitting, you're nailing the part." That hit different. Because he was right. I was letting this happen. Not because I was weak, but because I wanted to be sure. I wanted undeniable proof that this person wasn't going to change, wasn't going to grow, and wasn't worth the investment. I just needed that one moment, that crystal clear where her character revealed itself so completely that even she couldn't deny it. That moment came in Mexico, on a beach, with some dude named Trent and a bottle of sunscreen. But I'm getting ahead of myself. When Brielle first mentioned the beach trip, my immediate reaction was, heck no. 5 days in Cancun with her friend group? That sounded less like a vacation and more like performance art designed to test my patience. But she was persistent, brought it up every single day for 2 weeks. It'll be fun, babe. You never want to do anything with my friends? This is important to me. But here's the thing. Part of me wanted to go. Not because I thought it would be fun, but because I wanted to see her in her natural habitat, around the people who enabled her worst behaviors. Call it morbid curiosity. I still said yes. Big mistake. The trip was set at some resort in Cancun. Her friend group was exactly what you'd imagine. Trust fund kids and wannabe influencers who treated every waking moment like content creation. Her best friend Candy was the ringleader. Loud and obnoxious. Thought being rude was the same as being funny. Then there was Haley, who just repeated whatever Candy said. And Allison, who was weirdly competitive with Brielle about everything. Likes, attention, guys looking at them. These were not my people. I'm the type who shows up somewhere, enjoys myself without broadcasting it to the internet, and goes home without needing a highlight reel. But Brielle? This trip was her freaking Coachella. The flight down was actually fine. We watched some action movie where The Rock saves the world from cartels or asteroids or whatever. She fell asleep on my shoulder, and for about 90 minutes I remembered why I'd started dating her. Those rare moments when the performance stopped and she was just my girlfriend. We landed, got through customs, and met her friends at baggage claim. The transformation was instant. Volume up. Laugh faker. Energy cranked to 11. The resort was nice. I'll give it that. All inclusive, which basically meant unlimited drinks and questionable meat on sticks. Our room had an ocean view, a king bed, the works. Brielle immediately started setting up her content station. Ring light, phone tripod, that stupid circular mirror she brings everywhere. She spent 3 hours taking selfies in different outfits before we even left the room. I unpacked, changed into swim trunks, cracked open a drink, and watched the show. She must have taken 600 photos just to post one with 17 hashtags. Day 1 at the pool was manageable. We swam, ate tacos, and drank. Brielle kept things relatively civil, only throwing out a few comments designed to make me look stupid in front of her friends. Bruno doesn't know how to relax. It's honestly kind of cute how uptight he is. Babe, you're doing that thing where you make everyone uncomfortable by not talking. Smile more. Said with a smile, but everyone knew the vibe. These weren't playful jokes. I stayed quiet. Let her have her moment. That first night, we hit the resort bar. Her friends got sloppy drunk fast. Brielle was right in the thick of it, dancing, taking shots, pulling random tourists into group photos. I sat at the bar, just watching. She came over at one point, grabbed my face with both hands, and said loud enough for people to hear, "Why are you being so boring? You're literally killing the vibe right now." I looked at her dead in the eyes. Having fun. Just don't need to announce it. She rolled her eyes, muttered something about me being so moody lately, and walked away. Her friends laughed. That's when I knew this trip was going to be a shit show. Later that night, back in the room, she was scrolling through photos while I tried to sleep. The light from her phone kept hitting me in the face. I asked her to lower the brightness. She sighed. "You're being really negative this trip, you know that? Like everyone can feel it." Candy even said something. Said what? Just that you don't seem happy. That maybe you didn't want to come. I propped myself up on one elbow and looked at her. Did you tell Candy that you haven't asked me a single question about how I'm doing since we got here? Or that you've barely talked to me unless it's to make some comment about me in front of your friends? She put her phone down. Oh my gosh, Bruno! We're on vacation. Sorry I'm not catering to your ego every second. Some of us are just trying to have fun. I turned over and faced the wall. Have fun then. She went back to her phone. I didn't sleep much that night. Just laid there thinking about how I'd ended up in a relationship where my girlfriend treated me better when we were alone than when anyone else was watching. Day 2 was when everything went sideways. Day 2 started normal. We headed to the beach around 11. The girls had rented out this section with chairs, umbrellas, and speakers already blasting that generic EDM bullshit. Brielle was in full display mode. New bikini, big sunglasses, the works. I grabbed a chair, put on my sunglasses, and pulled out my book. Her friends were already drunk. It was 11:30 a.m. Candy was on her third mimosa, Haley was taking videos of absolutely nothing, and Allison was in a passive-aggressive competition with Brielle about who could get more attention from the guys walking past. That's when Trent showed up. Trent was this dude from the resort who'd been hovering around since day 1. Mid-20s, workout-obsessed, that overly groomed look that screamed, "I spend more time on my hair than my personality." He'd been making eyes at Brielle since we got there, and she'd been eating it up. He walked up to our section with this big performative smile. "Morning, ladies and gentlemen." I nodded. Didn't say anything. Brielle lit up like someone plugged her into a wall outlet. "Trent! Oh my gosh, we were literally just talking about you. They absolutely were not. But that's how she operated. He plopped down on the sand next to her chair. Too close. But Brielle didn't adjust. Didn't create space. Just angled toward him and started chatting. I'm sitting maybe 10 feet away. And I might as well have been in a different country. They talked for a while. Normal shit. Where he's from, what he does, how often he comes to Cancun. Brielle was giving him her full attention, doing that thing where she touches her hair and laughs too loud at jokes that aren't funny. Her friends were watching, exchanging looks, loving this. Then it happened. Brielle sat up, grabbed her sunscreen bottle, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Trent, would you mind putting sunscreen on my back? I can never reach properly." I'm sitting right there. Her actual boyfriend. The person who flew to this resort with her, who paid for half this trip, who'd been dealing with her bullshit for 2 years. And she asked this random dude to put sunscreen on her. Trent looked at me for half a second. I didn't move, didn't react, just looked at him with dead eyes. He shrugged, grabbed the bottle, and started rubbing sunscreen on my girlfriend's back while she made these satisfied little sounds. Her friends giggled. Candy said something under her breath. Haley filmed it for her story. I watched for maybe 30 seconds. Then I stood up, grabbed my book and towel, and started walking back toward the hotel. "Bruno!" Brielle called out. "Where are you going?" I stopped, turned around, looked at her sitting there with Trent's hands still on her back. "I'm good," I said. "You seem busy." She laughed, then said the line that sealed her fate. "I just asked him to put sunscreen on my back. If you're jealous, go home." Her friends laughed. Trent smirked. Even some random people nearby chuckled. She joked with him for another few seconds, and then went back to her conversation like I wasn't even there. I didn't make a scene. I just walked away. Got back to the hotel room, took a shower, and stood under the water for probably 20 minutes just processing what had happened. Not because I was hurt. I'd checked out emotionally from Brielle months ago, but because the disrespect was so casual and public. She'd shown me exactly who she was, and for the first time in 2 years, I wasn't making excuses for her anymore. I got out of the shower, dried off, and grabbed my phone. Pulled up flight options. Looked at what it would cost to change my return flight to tonight instead of 3 days from now. $300. Worth every penny. I booked it. Confirmation came through at 4:47 p.m. Flight left at 11:30 p.m. I had 7 hours. Started packing my stuff. Didn't rush. Wasn't angry. I moved through that room like I was closing a chapter. Calm. Done. Brielle came back around 6. She walked in talking on her phone, laughing at something Candy said, barely acknowledging I existed. Saw my packed suitcase by the door and stopped mid-sentence. "What's that?" I zipped up my bag. "I'm leaving." She put her phone down. "What do you mean you're leaving? The trip isn't over until Friday." "It is for me." She looked at me like I'd started speaking Mandarin. "Bruno, what the heck? Are you seriously this upset about the sunscreen thing? Oh my gosh, you're so dramatic." I grabbed my wallet and keys off the dresser. "Nope, I'm done, Brielle." "Done?" She laughed. "What does that even mean?" "It means I'm going home. You can finish your vacation. Have fun with Trent." Her face changed. The performance dropped for a second. "You're breaking up with me? Over sunscreen?" "I'm not breaking up with you over sunscreen," I said. "I'm breaking up with you because of who you are." The sunscreen was just the clearest example of it. She started talking faster. "Bruno, come on. You're overreacting. I was just having fun with my friends. You always do this. You get all in your feelings and make everything about you. It was sunscreen. You're actually insane right now." I stood by the door with my bag. "Enjoy the rest of your trip." "Are you freaking kidding me? You're leaving me here alone?" "Yes. You'll be fine." The mask fully dropped. "You know what? Fine. Leave. I don't need you here anyway. This trip is better without your negative energy." I nodded. Cool. Walked out, took an Uber to the airport. Flight was smooth. Got home around 3 a.m., dropped my bag, and stood in my apartment, realizing how much lighter I felt without her there. Didn't text her. Didn't call. Didn't post anything cryptic on social media. Just turned off my phone and went to sleep. And what happened next? That's where it got interesting. Because Brielle didn't handle rejection well. Also, I still had some things to handle. I slept better that first night back than I had in months. No Brielle scrolling Instagram with the brightness turned up. No fake laughing at her phone in bed. No waking up to her taking selfies with the flash on at 2 a.m. Just peace. Woke up around noon. Made coffee, sat on my couch, and actually relaxed. Didn't check my phone right away. Around 1 p.m., I finally checked my phone. 37 missed calls. 60-something texts. Multiple DMs on every platform. all from Brielle and her friend group. Brielle's text started, "Bruno, I'm sorry, okay? Can we talk? You just left me here, this is so fucked up. Everyone thinks you're being dramatic." Then they got angry. "You're embarrassing me in front of my friends. Trent and I are just friends." Then desperate, "We need to talk about this. You can't just throw away 2 years, I love you." Then mean, "Screw you then. Have fun being alone. You'll realize what you've lost soon." Well, yes, I did realize. I lost a hoe. Not that I'm bothered. I read through all of them with the emotional investment of someone reading a Chinese takeout menu. Didn't respond to a single one. Just took screenshots. Knew I'd need them later. And then blocked her on everything. Every platform, every method of contact, just gone. She went from having access to me 24/7 to having no access at all. And it felt amazing. Her friends tried next. Candy sent me this long message about how I humiliated Brielle. I blocked her mid-paragraph. Haley tried fake nice. "Hey Bruno, just checking in." Blocked. Allison tried referee. "I know you're both hurt." Blocked. The piece that came after was unreal. But I wasn't done yet. See, Brielle still had stuff at my place. A lot of stuff. Half my closet, most of my bathroom counter, shit scattered all over my apartment. And technically, she could claim she still lived there since she'd never actually left. Just went on vacation. Time to fix that. I took a day off work. Called my buddy Andrew from the office. The divorced guy who'd warned me about being a doormat. Told him I needed help clearing out an ex's stuff. He showed up with coffee and a knowing look. "She finally show her butt completely?" he asked. "On a beach in Mexico?" "In front of everyone." He nodded. "They always do." Just took her longer than most. We spent 6 hours packing up every single thing of Brielle's. Her clothes, jewelry, makeup, hair products, shoes, everything. We packed it all carefully in boxes and stacked them in the living room. Then I called a shipping company. Told them I needed everything picked up and delivered to Brielle's mom's house. Cost me $400. Worth every cent. While we were packing, Andrew found a jewelry box tucked in the back of my closet. Opened it up and there was an engagement ring. He looked at me. "Brother, tell me this isn't what I think it is." I took the box from him. Stared at the ring I'd bought 4 months ago. Back when I thought maybe she'd become the person she pretended to be when it was just us. Back when I was too busy being Captain Save-A-Ho. "I was going to propose this December," I said. "Had this whole thing planned." Andrew let out a long whistle. "Thank God you found out first." I put the ring back in the box. Shoved it in my desk drawer. Figured I'd return it later and get some of my money back. $5,000 down the drain. After the boxes were ready for pickup, Andrew and I ordered food and sat on my couch. My half-empty couch now. And just ate in comfortable silence. "You know she's going to lose her shit when she gets back, right?" he said. "That's the point." He laughed. "Good. Make her scream into the void." The next day, Brielle flew back from Mexico. She tried calling from different numbers, her friends' phones, probably random people at the airport. I didn't answer any of them. She tried showing up at my building, but I'd already talked to my building manager and told him I had an ex who wasn't welcome. He was cool about it, said he'd handle it if she showed up. She showed up. The building manager called me from the lobby. "Got a very upset woman here named Brielle saying she lives here and needs to get her stuff." "She doesn't live here," I said. "Her stuff was shipped to her mom's house. She has no reason to be there." "Copy that. I'll let her know." I could hear her yelling in the background. The building manager stayed firm. She eventually left. Then she tried a different approach. Texted me from her mom's phone. "Bruno, this is Brielle's mom. I don't know what happened between you two, but she's devastated. Can you please talk to her?" I replied, "With all due respect, Mrs. Parker, this is between me and Brielle. She has her belongings. We're done. Please don't contact me again." That didn't work either, because 20 minutes later I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You're a freaking coward. You can't even face me. You just left. You dumped all my shit like I'm trash. Screw you, Bruno. You're gonna regret this." I blocked that number too. And the next one. And the next one. She went through a solid week of trying every method to get to me. Friends' phones. Burner apps. Creating new Instagram accounts. She even had someone send me a LinkedIn message. LinkedIn. But here's what she didn't understand. I wasn't avoiding her because I was hurt. I was cutting her off completely because I finally realized she wasn't worth my time, my energy, not even my attention. She thought if she just tried hard enough, I'd crack. I'd engage. Wrong. The real fireworks started 2 weeks later. That's when she realized words weren't going to work. So she tried something else. 2 weeks of radio silence, and I was living my best life. Work was good. Apartment was cleaner than it had been in years. I'd started meal prepping again, hit the gym consistently. Everything felt lighter. I'd even started talking to this woman named Claudia at the dog park near my place. I didn't have a dog yet, but I'd go there sometimes to read and enjoy the chaos. Claudia had this golden retriever named Teddy. We'd chatted a few times, just normal, easy conversation. As friends. Life was good. Then Brielle decided to remind me why I left. I was at my gym on a Wednesday night around 7. Planet Fitness, nothing fancy. I was in the zone, headphones in, doing deadlifts. Didn't notice her walk in until she was standing directly in front of me. She was dressed like she was going to a club, not a gym. Full makeup, hair done, wearing one of those matching workout sets that cost more than my monthly membership. She'd clearly come there for a scene. I set the barbell down and took out one earbud. What are you doing here? We need to talk. No, we don't. Bruno, you can't just ignore me forever. We were together for 2 years. You can't just throw that away over nothing. People were starting to stare. This is what she wanted. An audience where she could play the victim. I grabbed my water bottle. Brielle, I said we're done. There's nothing to talk about. You need to leave. I'm not leaving until you explain why you humiliated me in Mexico. Why you packed up all my stuff like I was garbage. Why you blocked me everywhere like I don't exist. I looked at her. Saw the desperation behind the makeup. She genuinely couldn't understand why her actions had consequences. You want an explanation? I said quietly. You disrespected me in front of your friends. You've been taking advantage of me for months. So, I decided I didn't want to be with someone like that. That's it. Her eyes got wet. The manipulation kicked in. I made one mistake and you threw away everything? I was just having fun. I didn't mean anything by it. You know I love you. You love what I provide. Leave. You're embarrassing yourself. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. Don't freaking touch me. Bruno. I'm serious, Brielle. We're done. Nothing you say is going to change that. You need to leave. Her face changed. The tears stopped. You know what? Fug you. I hope you're happy alone. You're going to realize what you lost. I'm already talking to someone better than you anyway. Silence. Okay, I said. Let me guess, the guy from the beach? Good luck with that. Yeah, Trent. He's better than you in every way. I nodded. Cool. Then we're both happy. You can go now. She stood there for another few seconds, expecting me to react. When I didn't, she huffed and walked out. I went back to my workout like nothing happened. The guy near me was like, Yo, dropped a bullet, dude. What a piece of work. I nodded and smiled. Yeah, she is. But she wasn't done yet. The next day at work, my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Bruno? Yeah, who's this? This is Officer Carter with the local police. We received a call about a domestic disturbance at your address. Are you home right now? My stomach dropped. No, I'm at work. What kind of disturbance? A woman called saying her boyfriend locked her out of their shared apartment and has her belongings. She says you're refusing to let her back in. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. Officer, that's my ex-girlfriend. We broke up 2 weeks ago. She never officially lived at my address. She was crashing temporarily. I packed up all her belongings and shipped them to her mother's house. She has everything. She's lying. Do you have proof of this? I have receipts from the shipping company, text messages from before I blocked her, and confirmation from my building manager that she doesn't live there. Can you send those to this number? Absolutely. I spent my lunch break forwarding everything to him. He called back an hour later. Thanks for sending this over. Just so you're aware, we've spoken with Ms. Parker and informed her that she cannot file false reports. If she contacts you again or shows up at your property, you can file for a restraining order. Appreciate it, officer. Hung up and sat there processing the fact that Brielle had called the cops on me. All because I wouldn't take her back. That's when I realized this wasn't going to stop on its own. She was escalating. And if I didn't shut it down hard, it was only going to get worse. Andrew stopped by my desk later that afternoon. You good, man? You look stressed. I told him about the gym, the cops, all of it. He shook his head. She's going to keep going. You need to document everything. Every contact attempt, every confrontation, everything. Build a case. For what? For when she really loses her shit? I thought he was being dramatic. Well, he wasn't. The fake police report was her opening act. Things got worse. 3 days after the cop incident, I came home to find my car had been keyed. Long, deliberate scratches down both sides. Right in my apartment parking garage where there were cameras. I reported it to building security, got the footage, and sure enough, there was Brielle at 11 p.m. the night before, walking through the garage in all black, keys out, going to work on my car. Filed a police report. They contacted her. She denied it even though her face was clear as day on camera. Said it must have been someone else, and I was harassing her by involving the police. My insurance covered most of the damage, But between the $500 deductible and having to take time off work to deal with estimates and the body shop, I was out about $800 total. I sent Brielle a Venmo request for the full $800 with the note, "Car repairs from damage you caused." She didn't pay. Shocker. Then came the social media campaign. Brielle posted a series of Instagram stories with sad music and vague captions. When you realize who someone really is. 2 years wasted on a narcissist. I gave everything and got nothing back. Comments full of, "You deserve better, queen," and "Men ain't shit." They were rewriting history in real time, turning me into the villain. I didn't respond. Didn't post anything. Just let her tell her story to whoever would listen. Because here's the thing about the truth. It doesn't need defending. But my phone started getting messages from mutual acquaintances who'd seen her posts. "Hey man, what happened with you and Brielle?" I'd respond with the same message every time. "We broke up. She's not handling it well. Everything she's posting is her perspective, not reality." Most people got it. Then she started stalking me. I went to my regular coffee shop one Saturday morning, this place I'd been going to for 3 years, long before I met Brielle. I walk in, and there she is, sitting at a table near the window, laptop out, looking surprised to see me like it was a coincidence. "Oh, hey Bruno." I ordered my coffee and left. Didn't engage. She showed up at the dog park where I'd been talking to Claudia. Claudia noticed and asked if everything was okay. I told her I had a complicated ex situation, and she nodded like she'd been there. "Say the word, and I can have Teddy intimidate her," Claudia joked. Teddy was the least intimidating dog alive, but I appreciated the offer. The next week, Brielle showed up at my gym again. Different time, same desperate energy. The front desk staff recognized her from last time and asked her to leave. She caused a scene, eventually security walked her out. Meanwhile, I was building a file. Every incident documented. Every screenshot saved. Every security footage clip backed up. That moment came on a Tuesday. I was at work, in a meeting with a client, when I got a call from my building manager. "Hey Bruno, you need to come home right now." "What's wrong?" "Just come home. I'll explain when you get here." I excused myself from the meeting, told my boss there was an emergency, and drove home with my heart rate through the roof. Pulled into my building's garage and saw a police car parked out front. The building manager was standing there with a cop, both looking serious. "What happened?" The building manager gestured to the front entrance. The glass door was shattered, completely destroyed. Glass everywhere. "Security footage shows your ex-girlfriend threw a brick through it about an hour ago," he said. I looked at the door. At the brick sitting in the lobby, surrounded by glass. At the cop taking notes. "She did this?" The cop nodded. "We've reviewed the footage. She's been identified. We've issued a warrant for her arrest for destruction of property. But I need to ask, has she made any threats toward you specifically?" The HOA manager was already on it. Their insurance covered the lobby glass, but the deductible was $1,200. I handed the DA the garage footage, the repair invoice for my car, and the police report number. They bundled both incidents into one case and told me restitution would be part of any plea. Paperwork mode engaged. I pulled out my phone and showed him everything. Screenshots of texts from unknown numbers. Messages from her friends. The gym confrontations. The coffee shop. The dog park. Everything. The cop's expression got more serious as he scrolled through. "Sir, this is stalking behavior with escalating destruction of property. You need to file for a restraining order immediately. Today, if possible." 3 hours later, I was at the courthouse, filling out a restraining order. Detailed every incident, attached all evidence, and submitted it to a judge. Got approved within 48 hours due to the clear pattern of harassment and property destruction. They served Brielle the order that Friday. She lost her mind. Called me from blocked numbers screaming about how I'd ruined her life and made her look crazy and turned everyone against her. I recorded the call, added it to the file, sent it to the police because calling me after being served a restraining order was already a violation. They warned her, told her any further contact would result in arrest. Finally, she went quiet. But quiet didn't mean free. Restitution order hit my inbox that Friday. $1,200 to the HOA for the glass, $800 to me for the car, and court costs. I didn't touch it. The system did. The clerk logged the order and sent the payment portal link. HOA filed their form. All I did was archive the emails. 3 months after the restraining order, something clicked. I woke up one Saturday morning, made coffee, and realized I hadn't thought about Brielle in days. Not in a bitter way, not in an angry way. Just hadn't thought about her at all. She'd gone from consuming my mental space 24/7 to being completely irrelevant. That's when you know you've won. when they just stopped mattering. My apartment was actually mine again. I'd redecorated. New couch, new artwork, made it my space. The best part, though, I finally adopted that dog I'd been thinking about. His name's Barkley, a rescue mutt who looks like someone put 5 different breeds in a blender. Brown and white patches, one ear up and one ear down, stumpy legs. Perfect. The shelter lady told me he'd been there for 8 months. Too energetic. I watched him bouncing around his kennel and thought, yeah, this is the one. On the first day home, he ran around my apartment, sniffing everything, claiming his new territory. Then he jumped on the couch and passed out on my lap. Barkley doesn't care about Instagram, doesn't need validation, doesn't play mind games. When he's happy to see me, it's genuine, simple, honest, drama-free. I started taking him to the dog park twice a week. Claudia was there most times with Teddy. We'd grab coffee after, talk about normal stuff, work, books, our dog's ridiculous personalities. She told me about her divorce 3 years back, how she'd stayed too long in something that wasn't working. The best day of my life was when I finally stopped hoping he'd be different and just accepted he was exactly who he'd always been, she said. That's the day I filed. We weren't dating, not yet, but it was nice having someone to talk to who got it. Oh, and the money? Paid on day 29. HOA confirmed theirs. $850 hit my account with the filing fee. Last month, I got a text from Trent. Remember him? Beach guy, sunscreen enthusiast, Brielle's friend? Hey man, just wanted to reach out. Brielle told everyone a completely different story about what happened in Mexico. I heard about everything that went down. That's screwed up. I'm sorry for my part in all that. She played me too. I stared at that message for a while. I replied, I appreciate you saying that. No hard feelings. She's dating someone new, he added. Feel bad for him. He doesn't know what he's in for. I almost responded, but I just left him on read. Her Instagram was public again. I don't follow her, but my buddy showed me once. She's posting like nothing happened. New boyfriend featured prominently. Same performance. Same attention seeking. I didn't care. Also, it didn't last too long. LOL. Because last week I was sitting on my couch, Barkley asleep next to me, game on TV. My phone buzzed once. Instagram notification, follow request, and one message from an account with no profile picture and 0 followers. I opened it. The message was, hey, I know you want nothing to do with me, but can we talk? I'm sorry and I miss you so much. Maybe we can try again? B. Brielle. Seems like the new guy ran or she's just trying to mess around with me again. Either way, I didn't care. I just blocked her. My last post was from 3 days ago. Photo of Barkley at the dog park. Comments from friends hyping him up. Claudia commenting, Teddy's best friend. Barkley lifted his head, looked at me like, we good? Then went back to sleep. Yeah, buddy. We're good. If you're reading this and you're in a situation like I was, ignoring the red flags, making excuses, hoping they'll change, let me save you some time. They won't change. And you're not overreacting. Walk away. Get a dog. And the most important part, protect your peace like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because it is. Peace out, Reddit. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.